I'm Natasha Chilingarian.
I'm Michael Ogden. This is Shared Accounts with CU Times. This episode is sponsored by TruStage Executive Benefits Solutions. Thanks, TruStage. Hey, in lieu of a Halloween episode this year, because we just had other unplanned projects and deadlines come up that we weren't in charge of, so we had to kind of skip doing that, I want to briefly talk with Natasha and Producer Zach and ask this question. In your life today, what do you find scary? And while you guys are thinking about this, I have an answer of something I experienced this weekend, and that just happens around this area of Wisconsin, and I'm sure other areas too. But at this time of year, and my answer is deer, because right now, this time of year until, sometime in December or so, deer are so active. And they're rutting and they're doing all this stuff. They are everywhere. And I especially get really nervous and scared to drive at night because they pop out all over the place.
That makes sense, yeah. While driving, I was thinking, if they're going to jump out.
If you're on the interstate, if you're on some backcountry highway, or just driving around your damn neighborhood, they just, boop, they're right there. I almost hit one this weekend. I mean, I should have hit it. And I was like,
it got lucky.
I hate it. And I'm really going to try to avoid, because they really come out right around dusk and all night long is really when they're active.
Okay.
Hate it. And it scares me. That's my scary thing right now.
But they're so cute too, though. I mean, I love, whenever I see deer, like when I'm in the house and I see one outside, there's deer that come around both in Oregon and then also in Southern California where I'm living. They're pretty active. In fact, I saw, because I drove down the West Coast this past weekend.
Yeah, you did.
And I saw a parent and a baby deer just walking along the highway. I was like, it was like the cutest thing I saw.
It was like back to school time for deer.
Yeah. Right.
No, I am not. I don't hunt. I don't do any of that stuff. And I think they're adorable. But I'm terrified of hitting them at this time of year. I hate it.
That makes sense.
Yes.
Sure. Okay.
That's my answer.
Okay.
Well,
I'll spare you like the big, heavy types of fears.
The doom and gloom
keep it light. Well, I have all kinds of fears. Yeah, but horrible, But let's skip that for today. Keep it light.
Okay.
I mean, mine would be bears, which I'm sure I've talked about on the podcast before, but where I'm living in right now, currently in this town in the mountains, there's a very active black bear population. And having one break in the house is absolutely terrifying. The thought of that.
Yeah.
And not just because there's a freaking bear in your house and I'm afraid it's going to kill me,
right,
but also just the damage it would cause to the house and the headache that would create. I saw there was someone in the community who posted on like one of the community Facebook groups. A bear had broken in and went into the refrigerator, ate so much food, including an entire container of peanut butter ice cream, apparently. And then there was a photo of the bear, I think from the Ring security camera, of it just passed out on the front porch because it was so full. It was kind of funny, but then you see the picture of the destruction it causes, and that's, I don't know, it does terrify me. I don't know if I've told you, but now I sleep with a little pot and a ladle next to my bed because they're just supposed to make noise in case. It just says, some people sleep with a gun or a knife. I sleep with a pot and a ladle for protection. Yeah, I'd say that's a fear. And once they go into hibernation, I will be happy because then I won't have to worry so much.
Old Grandma Chilingarian with a pot and a ladle.
Now, Natasha, I have a question.
Okay.
Don't you live in an area called Big Bear?
Well, I used to. So now the town I'm in is called. It
I was going to say, that's on you if you live in Big Bear with a fear of bears, but you moved away.
Yeah, you're asking for it, I guess. Well, no, to be fair, I didn't live in Big Bear. I lived in Lake Arrowhead and also in Crestline. It's about 45 minutes from Big Bear.
Okay.
So yeah, and that is a fair statement. Like, why would you move there if you're afraid of?
Right.
I think it's like the fear came after the move. Like I didn't realize how bad it might be. And
of course.
Yeah, but I'm not there. And now I'm in a different mountain. And I don't know, apparently the bear problem is even worse where I am, even though the word bear is not in the title. Anyway.
Okay, I hate that one.
And so far, no sightings. No, knock on wood, no bear sightings.
Yeah, but can I also digress a hair?
Sure.
And not hair as in rabbit, but hair as in a little bit. Didn't a bear pound on your guy's door?
Well, there was one night, yes, where we can't confirm because we don't have a security camera installed, so we can't watch any footage.
Okay.
But there was a pounding at night, like on the door, on the front windows, some walking on the deck, and it sounded like a larger creature, not just a rat or a raccoon. And my boyfriend got up and, he's like, I think it is a bear. He didn't see it, but he was pretty sure. And I just laid there like just in complete terror, just hiding under the blanket. And I was thinking, what would I do? I guess I'll go lock myself in the bathroom.
I guess I'll get a pot and a ladle.
That would be my plan.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think I'd even I'd probably be too scared to even get that out. I'd probably just run into the bathroom or something.
That's a big pile.
It sounds like an incredibly polite bear if it knocked on the door.
Yeah, that's
right. Yeah, it was like, can I come in? Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Zach, what about you?
Yeah.
So I believe last year in our Halloween special, I mentioned my fear of mascots. So I don't want to retread that.
Right. I was thinking of that. Yeah.
I will just note the irony of my first trip with the two of you being to Disney World, where I will be surrounded by people.
Right. Yeah.
So if I'm on edge, that's why.
Okay.
But no, I thought about it and I was thinking, something lighthearted. So my fear is fancy multi-course dinners.
Oh. And what is the fear there?
So you never know when it's going to end.
Right.
You aren't allowed to ask what the food is. That's impolite.
Right.
You're probably dressed in nice clothes, so I'm already uncomfortable. And then I'm just getting more and more full, so I'm getting more uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So many rules that you're supposed to know. So yeah, I try to avoid that.
Okay. So I just have to say, so during our first trip that we'll be taking together here in a few weeks, you'll be encountered with both of your fears then. Yeah. Because there is going to be a dinner. There's going to be one of those exact types of dinners. And then also you'll be around the mascots at Disney World. So it's going to be a test.
Yeah, they do wander around there.
Yeah, they'll probably just come in and I'll just scream and I'll just get crossed off any potential future work trips with you.
Well, I love this. We all we have a problem with nature and food is the thing right here. Thank you both for sharing that. Again, we hope we're going to bring back another Halloween episode for everybody down the line. We just could not get it done this year. But either way, hey, everybody, welcome to Shared Accounts with CU Times. Coming up, we are chatting with Danielle Scodellaro, Executive Benefits Specialist with TruStage Executive Benefits Solutions. We had a really good time with her. She shared, I think I kind of described it as an onion. It was just she kept uncovering all these layers about executive benefits I did not think about, and now I am. And so I loved it. We had a really great conversation with her. But first, Natasha's back. We got to take a break from this week. Check in with her. Ann, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you?
All right. How was your drive? You mentioned you were gone when we did this interview, but because you were driving back from Oregon down to Southern California.
Yes, I did that drive. I was transporting some stuff that couldn't fit on the plane, and also I was offloading one of the cars that my parents had. That they have like 3 cars, and they're like, we don't need this. Why don't you just take one? Okay. And I haven't had a car here for a while, and it's just
cool.
Just to have a backup other than my partner that's the car we use. But anyway, it was a beautiful drive. It's like 2 days, so 7 hours each day. Spent the night in Redding, California. It is a gorgeous town. I'd never really gone into the town. Like, I've driven past it, but I was really impressed. Like, just the nature is just stunning. The mountains, and there's this big lake there. And then when I got up in the morning to do the second leg, I was just like, I was like, what a peaceful and pleasant town. It was just like, the weather was great. The sun was coming up, and it was so quiet, but there were a few people out and about. Everything seemed very slow and relaxed. And
that sounds great.
Anyway, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe it's awful.
I'm happy that
there, but
I'm happy for you that it was.
It did go well. Yes.
Well, wonderful. Were you able to watch anything this weekend after you were done driving?
Yeah, well, so I didn't watch anything this past weekend while driving.
Okay.
That was just so crazy unpacking when I got back and everything. But the previous weekend, I do want to bring up,
Ooh.
saw a movie that I'd been waiting for it to come on one of the streaming platforms for a while, The Substance.
Okay, can I stop you right there for a second?
Sure, yeah.
So apparently you and I have the same thing that we watched this past week.
Oh, I love this. I love when this happens.
This is a rare one.
Great.
I also had not seen it. What did you think? What were your thoughts?
Oh my gosh. So I was just blown away. I mean, I was blown away by the whole thing.
Yeah.
Grossed out, completely grotesque, disgusting imagery. And I just was sucked in to the whole, to the message. Now, granted, it's like a caricature of a movie, you know, like all the characters are like caricatures of a type of person or idea. So there's nothing like realistic about it at all. But I just was like, wow, how can I say this without sounding weird? But, you know, as a woman who's now over 40, you know, that's something that's on the mind, is aging. Granted, it's more pronounced, I think, for women in Hollywood. And I think that's what it was about just the ageism that women in Hollywood face once they're like past their physical prime. So yeah, I thought that message was told in a very extreme way. But yeah, I had a great time watching it. I was just hooked the whole time. It was long. It was maybe a little too long, over 2 hours. But yeah, I don't know. It was totally worth it for me. I loved it. I think I gave it 4 stars. Yeah. And my little review one-liner was, so the age of 50 isn't looking so bad now, is it?
Exactly.
You were looking pretty good there at the beginning. Right. And that's also just one more thing. Like the fact they have Demi Moore, she's 62 in real life, played a person who just turned 50. And you're looking at her and you're like, damn, like I would say like 99% of 62-year-old women would kill to look like the way you look. You know, like that's not how most 62-year-olds look. But yet they're making it out to be like, oh, this is awful. It's like, not really. Like, you look fantastic.
Yeah.
So.
Like you said, it is a caricature of the reality, you know, in Hollywood.
Right.
I assume, you know. I really enjoyed it, but it was too long.
Right.
The gross stuff reminded me of The Fly, which I recently rewatched, David Cronenberg movie.
Oh, yeah.
You know, with fingernails coming off. You know, it's really gross. I hate fingernail stuff. But I thought Demi Moore was fantastic. Margaret Qualley did a really, really good job. And it was a lot more gross than I thought it was going to be.
Very gross. So what was like the grossest part for you? Any scenes that were like, okay, no, it's just too much.
I don't think I felt like that. What really grabbed me was this movie is a bunch of close-ups of
it is very
stuff.
Much
everything is just right in their face, and so that whole vibe just stayed with me the whole time. Everything was up close. You know, I think I know the scene you're probably thinking about, the shrimp scene. That was really gross, but everything is the camera is so close to everything that's happening, so it doesn't let you off the hook to watch.
And it's like body parts and then food. So it's like there's close-ups on, like it's very body heavy because it's body horror, like close-ups of the body, just gross things, and then also kind of juxtaposed with food close-ups that are also gross.
And
so it's interesting.
I'll say this, I did enjoy it. I thought it was a tremendous movie, and I really like this director. She directed another one of my favorite movies called Revenge. If you ever can check that out, please do. It's along the same lines. In fact, a couple of scenes in this movie I think were taken directly from Revenge. So it's pretty similar in that way. But I don't think I would need to rewatch this ever again, you know?
Okay.
Whereas other movies, horror movies and stuff, I'll watch that 7 times. I don't think I need to watch this one. Yeah. But it was really good.
Okay. Now, what did you rate it on your...
I give it 4.
Okay. Yeah, I did as well.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun, but it was really gross. And if it was 20 minutes shorter, it would have been even better, I think.
That's a good point. Yeah. Well, that's fun.
Yeah.
Hey, we can relate this week.
Yay.
And I feel like I could say so much more about it, but we don't have time, so maybe we can chat more later.
Yeah, we can
about
do it later.
Some things.
Okay,
yeah.
Check it out.
The Substance, now on HBO. Yep. Yes, just in time for Halloween. Well, let's get to a topic that's less gross and less scary. Okay.
That's true.
Yeah, so as you said, unfortunately wasn't able to join in the interview. I did take a listen to it, and I'll say I think this is a great topic, just, the topic of executive benefits, because I think, how an organization treats its people and how it attracts who it's going to attract and how if they have the ability to keep people on, that affects, everything that it does and ultimately its success. So I think it's really important. Yeah. So a few things that Danielle covered that were interesting included how credit unions can navigate the regulatory and compliance aspects of benefits programs, which are unique to credit unions being highly regulated. How benefits programs can work to a credit union's advantage during a major leadership transition or a merger, which obviously includes transitions with leaders and also trying to carry a culture over to a merging of cultures. And I'm sure that includes like the benefits and the culture and all that. Another thing that I really loved was that you asked Danielle a question about school pictures and school picture day.
Yeah, I did.
And I saw that and I was like, oh, that's a great question. We should maybe try to make that a regular occurrence.
We'll put it in the rotation. Yeah.
Put it in the rotation.
It was kind of an adorable conversation. Yeah.
Aw. Yeah. And then I liked, well, I don't want to spoil the response, but I could kind of relate to the response a little bit that she gave.
You'll love it.
Yeah. She talks about which year in grade school was the one where she had her favorite school picture taken. So stay tuned. We have all of that coming up next.
Hey, listeners. Today's episode is sponsored by TruStage Executive Benefits Solutions. If you're part of a credit union, you know how important it is to attract and keep great leaders. We love great leaders. TruStage helps credit unions do just that, with personalized, compliant executive benefits programs designed to fit your organization's goals today and grow with you into the future. They have been partnering with credit unions for decades, helping build leadership, continuity, and long-term success. If you want to find out more, learn more at trustage.com/executive benefits. That's trustage.com/executive benefits. Thanks, TruStage. Joining me in the virtual studio today is Danielle Scodellaro. She is Executive Benefits Specialist with TruStage Executive Benefits Solution. Danielle, welcome to Shared Accounts.
Thank you.
Lovely to have you. You are joining us from out in Arizona, yeah?
That is correct. Sunny Scottsdale, Arizona.
I love it out there. So we have a really important topic we want to hit today, talking about executive benefits. And I want to ask you the most simple kind of question, like just set everything up. What are executive benefits? I don't know if I've ever asked it that simply before.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. So executive benefits in the most simple manner are a way for organizations, either for-profit or nonprofit, credit unions, other financial institutions, right, to help retain, recruit, help reward, help maybe incentivize retirement, their executives. So they are programs that fall outside of the normal benefits that you would get from an employer like a 401k or, a pension plan or things of that nature. So simply put it's a way to help an organization keep somebody, retain somebody, retire somebody, reward somebody by utilizing different programs outside of their traditional benefit programs.
Can you talk about the role and value of having an executive benefits plan at your credit union?
Yeah. So as mentioned, right, there are a lot of different roles of an executive benefits plan. So depending on what the organization's goal is, if the goal is to maintain a leader through a executive transition or make sure that some individuals are rewarded for a lifelong service, these different programs essentially will allow you to recognize those individuals. And really these plans play, again, these multiple roles, right? So I could be recruiting a new CEO and I'm going to need to take them from a larger organization, because they might be the chief operating officer there, but I want them to be my CEO. It will help you retain individuals, particularly through a merger or through a executive leadership transition, or maybe through that core conversion that the credit union's working on. And it's a lot of work. It can also play the role of rewarding somebody, right, for a job well done and a tenure of service and making sure that they feel valued at the organization. And then, of course, we like to use the word golden parachute, but it's also a way to say, thanks so much for your service. You've done a great job for our organization, but now we want you to retire and live on your, the next phase of your life.
Yeah.
And that's through the retirement phase.
Okay. So how do you see executive benefits being different at credit unions than those offered at banks or other FIs?
Credit unions being a nonprofit, they're actually significantly more restricted on the types of programs that they're able to utilize. So, yeah, banks and any really for profit, they're able to utilize stock options. They're able to utilize other non qualified programs and things like that. Credit unions themselves have to be a little bit more creative in the designs of the plans that they utilize simply because they're restricted on the types of plans and types of benefits that they're able to offer to their executive management, to their highly compensated executives, because they are nonprofit.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that potentially isn't well known, I would say, overall.
So what would you say are some of the unique challenges that credit unions are facing? And you're talking about structuring these things and in structuring competitive executive benefits packages, given, like you were just saying, the not-for-profit structure, cooperative structure, and also the regulatory environment.
So it's a great question. So some unique challenges, of course, is what legally they're able to provide.
Yeah.
Really, within the executive benefit space, they are limited to a few program structures, one being a 457B plan, one being a 457F plan, and one being a split dollar plan. There's a variety of different structurings of those programs, but ultimately it's those three benefits that a credit union can offer. And so from a regulatory standpoint, from just like pure Internal Revenue Code, that's one restriction. And then you have to look at the other restrictions from a regulatory environment, which are how much money can we utilize towards these programs? We are limited in the size of the programs or the size of capital to be able to use towards these types of institutional investments and institutional programs because the cooperative nature of the credit union is to serve the members. And that is the true nature of a credit union, is serving members, providing lending and loans, right, to members. Their primary business is lending. And so you really have to balance what we can offer with how large of a plan can we offer, and then filtering that back in and saying, okay, does this really make sense for our membership, for our organization? Because our ultimate goal is to serve the members.
Yep.
And we can't be utilizing all of this capital if it's going to take away from the membership overall.
Yeah. You were unveiling a lot that I don't think I realized, because we do a lot of reporting about when an executive does leave. We do get some reporting from NCUA documents, from 990 forms and things like that. So I really, really, really love that you're unveiling quite a bit of the ways of thinking that we just have not reported on yet. I want to dig into this more. And I guess my next question to all of that is, are there any specific tax considerations that credit unions got to keep in mind when designing these executive benefits?
Absolutely. So you're right. There are tax considerations. So credit unions themselves are not taxable.
Right.
However, and this is not just amongst credit unions, this is amongst all nonprofits, is that several years ago when we revamped the tax law, and then again, it was reconfirmed in the latest tax bill that came through this last year, nonprofits are actually taxed an excise tax of 21% on an executive who makes over $1 million in compensation. So if an executive made $2 million in compensation, the first million is non-taxable, the next million is taxable at 21%.
Okay.
Now, credit unions, that's a gray area. And so a lot of them pay it. Some credit unions are under federal charters and they don't necessarily pay that. State charters definitely do, because they do file the 990 separately.
Yeah.
So there are, from TruStage's perspective, we take the conservative approach. We design our programs. If we are utilizing the 457F model, we do take into consideration the potential of an excise tax, simply because we don't want the credit union to have to pay a 21% tax, right?
Yeah.
On top of that, you have to take into tax considerations from an employee perspective, right? And when you have a large bonus per se, or a large payout, that individual needs to be able to tax plan too. Truly, the only way around any of those tax considerations in the non-qualified space is through the use of a split dollar program. So that
Okay.
is the one program that eliminates both sides of the tax equation. So not having to look at the excise tax from the credit union perspective, and also don't have to take into consideration really the excess amount of income going to the executive.
Okay. So I want to get into the weeds a little bit more with you. You brought this up about leadership transitions. And I'm curious how credit unions can use executive benefits strategically during these leadership transitions or even mergers to retain institutional knowledge. How do they do that?
So that kind of goes really to you just said it, the retention piece of an executive benefit program, right?
Hmm.
If you think about the way an organization is structured, having a CEO and then potentially an EVP and then your C suite. And if you're hiring from outside of the organization,
Mm-hmm.
and you're hiring for that CEO position, you are really trying to develop a program where your C suite, your EVP, they're going to stay through that transition. So, stay through the retirement of the old executive and the hiring of the new executive for a
Yeah.
certain period of time, right? Because that new executive might want to change strategy, that new CEO might want to change the direction of the organization. But ultimately, before those individuals leave in the C suite, or they move on to another role, or maybe they don't want to move on to another role, you really want to protect them from leaving the organization, because they hold all of the same institutional knowledge that that retiring CEO
Mm.
has. And so by utilizing programs around retention to help through a leadership transition, it really does make for a smooth transition in operations from a retiring CEO to a new CEO. And kind of the same thing works for a merger, right? Especially if you're the non-surviving organization. One is you want to take care of the individuals who are not going to have a job as a result of the merger. But two is there are key people in both organizations that you need to make sure stay on board at least enough to get through the operations, right? Through the legal date, through the court mergers, and making sure that the membership of the non-surviving credit union is taken care of. They have familiar faces
Mm-hmm.
and people that they're aware of and have heard names of, because you don't want anybody to feel left behind.
Right. And I love this conversation because I've been thinking about in context with, Jim Nussle leaving America's credit unions by this recording, it's just a few weeks away. And then that transition with Scott Simpson coming in, who left California, Utah, Nevada, those credit unions. And then now Lucy Ito has been named interim CEO for California while Scott transitioned. So I love this contrast because all this transition stuff is happening in the industry in a very big way. And this is a great bit of knowledge that you're sharing to kind of help, again, contextualize what a lot of these organizations are going through. So I love this conversation for that. So thank you. I want to ask, why is it important for credit unions to work with a partner on their executive benefits program?
I think you hit a little bit on it, Michael. There's a lot to know, right?
Yeah.
It's not just a matter of knowing the regulations or the tax code or what's going on here or there, but there's a lot to know on an organizational or an institutional level as well. Every credit union runs their operations just slightly different.
Yeah.
They all have their own niche, their own goal, their own community, their own focus. And so, working with a partner on their executive benefits program, that partner really comes in from a consultative approach. They're not just learning or educating the board or the C suite on these types of programs, but they're
Mm-hmm.
educating themselves on the organization and how the organization operates, and really what the goal of the organization is. And those goals could be different based on the type of program that we're trying to implement or what we're looking at. And so, from my seat, it's very important for credit unions to work with a partner on their executive benefits program, because there's just too much to have to sort through.
Yeah.
From a plan design to the regulatory piece, right sizing it, understanding the strategy and mission, and really working with a partner who works with you on that can help organize the entire process, can start from the education piece to the implementation piece, all the way to the ongoing service piece. And that partner is really there for the life of the program and making sure that it's successful for the organization and hitting the goals that the organization set out.
This might be a silly question, but legit, this is the question I have. How does somebody pick who to partner with for an executive benefits program? What's the thought process?
If you ask me how to define a good partner or how to choose a partner, you would, in my opinion, I believe a good partner is somebody who wants to know your organization. They want to know your goal. They want to know what you're trying to accomplish through these types of programs. They are going to learn the individuals who are involved in the plan. They're going to consult from an educational seat, right? They're not going to just walk in the door and say, we should do it this way, but they're actually going to educate on the different types of programs, the different types of structures out there within the different 457F plans or split dollar plans. The partner is not going to be there just from the design stage, but they also are going to be there with white glove service through the implementation stage, as well as the ongoing review and support. Each organization has to define what is most important to them and then look at the different providers out there in the executive benefits space and says, okay, who can provide us as close to what is most important to us? Who gives us the consultative approach? Who gives us, that white glove feel? And that, is really going to be the one that, of course, they should work with overall.
Let me ask you this. Give me your pitch then of why TruStage makes a good provider for this, for executive benefits, and even what makes you different.
Sure. So when I'm talking to my credit unions, one, my favorite thing is doing this face to face, right?
Yeah.
Because I like watching people's facial expressions. So what makes us a good provider for executive benefits? TruStage has been doing this since the late 1980s. And through that time, we have grown with our organization. We've grown with the credit unions and their organizations. We have always stood by the root of who we are as a company and people helping people. And we do take things from a consultative education approach. When you meet with a TruStage executive benefits specialist, myself included, we're not going to come in and say, you need to do this way or this way. We're going to come in and go through a full process with you, sit down, learn the organization, talk to you about your goals, what's important, how we're trying to accomplish it, and really focus in on how we get to the end goal in the most efficient manner. And also providing, making sure that this benefit that we're providing for your organization is going to fit the needs of the organization. And it's not going to be way out of line. And you're not going to have a member come and ask you, well, why are you offering this plan to the CEO? Yada, yada, yada. Because we're providing the education around the importance of these types of programs.
Yeah.
What makes us different is essentially we are very agnostic in any type of benefit that we provide. So we are not going to just use insurance. We're not going to use just annuities. We're not going to use just funding agreements or just managed accounts or investment accounts. We're very agnostic in our approach. So that allows us to be a true consultative partner versus going in and just being able to provide insurance policies or just being able to provide an annuity policy. And so that I think does distinguish us from other providers in the space, simply because we're not kind of a one-trick pony overall per se. We like to do this from a purely educational, how can we support you and, really truly live into our values, people helping people.
Exactly. So, okay, last question on this particular segment. How can an executive briefing partner kind of keep the board of directors educated and up to date on the credit union leader's executive benefits plan? Or, I guess, how can an EB partner work with the board of directors? I guess that's the question.
Yeah. So I think I alluded to it a little bit there, Michael, but part of our process, right, is education with the board. So meeting with the board chair, meeting with the compensation committee, meeting with the ELCO, and explaining them the types of benefits, explaining them the impact to their income statement, to their balance sheet, consulting with them and their auditor on the accounting aspects of it. And then continuing that education, not just up front, but on an annual basis. Offering you a review. And again, every credit union is different, but sometimes, you want a board of directors who wants to have the review every single year on the plans with that compensation committee. Some credit unions prefer where it's just the board chair and the executive involved, but offering those services, getting in front of the board, making sure that they're up to date on how the programs work, keeping everybody up to date on, any regulatory or tax change that could impact the plans that they have in place, right? Things change over time and sometimes you have to make adjustments. And again, just truly being that partner and not just leaving it at the implementation stage, right? So great, we got it. Now it's in and now we walk away. But instead it's, okay, we've done this, we've done our education piece, we've implemented it. Now, how do we continue to help from here? How do we make sure that you guys feel comfortable? And how do we make sure that the plans are successful going into, retirement or the next 5 years or through this merger? And it's all really about not the front end work all the time, as much as it is about the maintaining that relationship and the continuity, even within our own organization, right? And all, making sure they always has a contact that they're able to work with.
You know what I love about doing this show is that I get to focus for a half hour on a topic like this that I just don't give that much thought. And so I really appreciate all your answers here and your information because it's just something I don't think about enough and I feel like I should. And I appreciate you sharing all this with the audience. So having said that, this is part 2 of the interview, Danielle. You are a first timer on the show, which I think we're going to have you back again. But here's what I'm going to do. These are questions that are all about Danielle. Okay. So are you ready for these?
Yes.
Okay. I believe you are not originally from Arizona, yeah?
That is correct.
Okay. What is your hometown?
So I am from a small town in Michigan called Grosse Ile, Michigan. And it is an island in the Detroit River, just south of Detroit, between Canada and mainland Michigan.
Okay. Hold on. Geographically, I'm wrapping my head around this. Okay. South. Okay. I know. I think I got where you are exactly. So it's the Michigan side of things.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. How big's this town?
So it's about 12,000 residents.
Okay.
We have 2 bridges.
Uh-huh.
It was a fun time growing up on an island.
That sounds tenuous. Just 2 bridges. That's like Cape Cod. Legit, Cape Cod has 2 bridges. And if those go out, you're screwed. You are on Cape Cod forever. Okay. Well, when did you leave your hometown?
So I graduated and I went to the University of Wisconsin. I was in Wisconsin for 16 years and then moved out to Arizona about 3.5 years ago.
How do you like Arizona?
The summers are really hot.
You know what? That is an answer. Okay, great. Okay, back to then growing up. Again, what was the name of the town?
Grosse Ile, Michigan.
Grosse Ile, Michigan. Okay, when you had picture day, we all had picture day, right? In elementary school, whatever grade you were, in your hometown, do you remember a favorite school picture photo of you and what grade that was?
So I'm pretty sure my favorite picture was my first grade picture.
Okay, why?
Because of all the pictures that my mom still has on her wall, this one is the one where I actually look really kind of cute and didn't, start to want to dress myself. So
I love that. Like your hair, you liked your hair, your outfit,
It had the bangs, right? And the, the little chipmunk cheeks and my too big of smile. Yes,
God,
absolutely.
That's great. And do you have that photo personally or just your mom has it?
Just my mom.
Oh, well, make sure that picture doesn't go anywhere. Okay, I love it. Oh, wait, what was your outfit? Do you remember?
I was wearing some sort of we're talking early 90s teal blue turtleneck.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you what the rest is that I'm wearing, but I know I'm wearing the teal blue turtleneck.
Great. A little kid in a turtleneck is adorable. Okay, moving on. Thanks for that. Okay, when you're not doing executive benefit stuff, do you have a hobby or activity that you enjoy?
So, yes,
Okay.
several, I guess,
Okay.
right? I like to cook, I like to read,
Okay.
and because I'm in Arizona, Michael, I am picking up golf. Not well, but I am picking up golf.
Oh, interesting. Okay, wait, how far are you into it in picking up golf? Like this year, last year?
About 3 years into
Yeah.
it.
Oh, you're still okay the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, it's coming along.
Okay. What frustrates you the most about golf?
Oh, what frustrates me the most about golf? Well, that depends on the day. So
Sure.
typically it's just the fact that I really am really bad at keeping my head down
Oh,
and
okay.
not moving my head,
Right.
honestly.
Can I tell you what I hate about golf?
Yes, please.
I hate how quiet I have to be. I'm a talker. And so when I'm trying to take a swing, I'm having a conversation in my head. I'm like, you're not paying attention to what you're doing. You know, I don't like the quiet part of golf, I guess is what I'm saying.
I hear that. I understand that too.
Like, oh, I'm thinking of West Side Story, or something in my head while trying to swing. Okay, here's another childhood question. What was the first album, cassette, CD, piece of music that you have first bought or remember listening to?
So, first CD I remember ever buying was Jock Jams.
Oh my God. That is a great answer. Hey, wait 1 second. Producer Zach, can you chime in here for a second?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that the first Jock Jams answer we've had on this show in 2 years?
I can say with 99.9% certainty that it is the only Jock Jams answer.
All right, insert applause sound effect here, Zach. Danielle, that is great. What do you remember about Jock Jams?
So at home in my parents' house, we had a
Sure.
full basement, and
Okay.
Michigan, right, has bad winters.
Yep.
So I would remember rollerblading in the basement to Jock Jams, like when I was a kid, right?
Sure.
And so I do remember specifically remember Jock Jams being like the first CD that I ever purchased.
God, you must have been so proud too.
Yes,
As would I.
of
That's
course.
awesome. Oh my God. I love that answer so much. Oh, good job, Danielle. Okay, last question of this. What was the last movie you watched?
F1.
Oh, what'd you think?
So I really like the movie. I have a friend who's very big into F1, and I just saw her this past weekend, and she told me, she said, I thought the movie was pretty good and realistic, except for it should have rained during the final race
Oh,
to make it even more realistic, apparently.
sure.
And I have other friends who have said to me that, it's more of like it's the car version of Top Gun.
Oh, yeah, I've heard similarly. I've also heard it's kind of like a gateway drug to F1 for a lot of people.
Completely agree. And as somebody who grew up in Detroit, I really like cars and like
Yeah,
vehicles. And so it was just a good movie. I thought it was just a good movie overall. But,
fantastic.
people have different of opinions. It was just, I think, a feel good movie for me.
Sure. And Brad Pitt looks amazing.
Yeah.
I will say, as of like today of this recording, I believe they announced that Apple TV and F1 have struck a broadcasting deal.
Cool.
So if you're an Apple TV subscriber, you're going to get F1 races. So there.
Very
I
cool.
just read that. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Danielle Scodellaro, Executive Benefits Specialist with TruStage Executive Benefits Solution. Danielle, I loved having you on the show. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me, Michael. Very much appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. And everybody, thank you for downloading today's show. Make sure to subscribe to Shared Accounts with CU Times and all the normal podcast places and share it with your coworkers, your pets, your golf buddies. I don't know. Just share it and feel free to rate us too. Thank you so much to TruStage for sponsoring today's episode. Nice work, TruStage. As always, thank you to our producer, Zach Nyheisel. Thanks, Zach. Join us again next week for a new episode of Shared Accounts with CU Times. Until then, thanks for listening.